Signs you're in a situationship with a narcissist.
Are you stuck in the dreaded narcissist's web, trapped in a situation that's not quite a relationship, but not really just friends either? If so, you may be a victim of the narcissist's favorite game, the situationship. This confusing limbo state allows these self-absorbed leeches to suck you dry of attention and validation without any of the commitment or hard work that an actual relationship requires. In this eye-opening guide, we'll expose the sneaky signs that you've fallen into a narcissist's sticky situationship trap. From love-bombing lures to future-faking facades, we'll equip you with the tools to identify these toxic mind games before you're in too deep. So buckle up and get ready to have your mind blown as we dive into the twisted world of narcissistic situationships.
The bait and switch.
Like an angler expertly casting their line, a narcissist starts by reeling you in with an irresistible bait, excessive flattery, constant texting, and promises of a budding romance. This love-bombing phase is designed to get you hooked and intoxicated on their compliments and fake intimacy. For example, take the case of the businesswoman who thought she'd met her Prince Charming. Handsome fraud repeatedly told her she was the most amazing, intelligent woman he'd ever met. He bombarded her with poetic texts and planned elaborate future trips together. Drunk on his supposed adoration, she ignored the red flags and fell hook, line, and sinker into his trap. However, once you're securely on their line, the narcissist instantly switches gears. The excessive attention dries up, leaving you confused and grasping for crumbs of affection. You're now stuck in a maddening push-pull cycle as they reel you back in whenever you try to get distance, only to discard you again once they have what they want.
Muddying the waters.
One of the hallmarks of a narcissistic situationship is the deliberate ambiguity surrounding your relationship status. Like a thick smog obscuring your vision, these crafty mind twisters keep you disoriented and unsure about where you stand. The non-committal accountant is a prime offender when it comes to obfuscating the situation. One day, he's passionately kissing his company's new marketing intern and whispering sweet nothings about their amazing connection. The next, he ghosts her for weeks, claiming he's too busy at work for any distractions. When she finally confronts him about their incessantly undefined courtship dance, he shrugs it off, saying, "I thought you understood this is just a casual thing." Don't get so worked up. Through behaviors like distancing after intimacy, avoiding labels, and downplaying the partner's importance, the narcissist keeps you trapped in a never-ending haze of confusion and self-doubt. The situationship thus becomes a perfect control tactic. You're just committed enough to keep giving them narcissistic supply, but not so committed that they have to reciprocate real effort or care.
Gaslighting your expectations.
Closely tied to muddying the waters, gaslighting is another key weapon in the narcissist's situationship arsenal. These devious masterminds will constantly dismiss and invalidate any desire for clarity or reasonable relationship expectations as needy behavior. Take the software engineer who fell for her manipulative colleague's lies. At first, he ticked all the usual narcissist boxes, charming her with superficial traits like bragging about his expensive sports car and Rolex watch, while really bonding over not much at all. Once she began raising intimacy issues, he'd shamelessly declare you knew what this was from the start. "I've been clear that I'm not looking for anything serious right now. You're the one getting too attached." Through gaslighting gems like these, he was able to convince this intelligent woman that her quite reasonable expectations for relationship progression were irrational and overbearing demands. The situationship thus becomes a convenient gaslighting arena where the narcissist can set the ever-shifting rules while punishing you for attempting to understand or enforce basic relationship boundaries and progressions. You're made to feel neurotic and unreasonable simply for desiring the security and commitment that a real, healthy partnership provides.
Future faking the fantasy.
In addition to gaslighting and obscuring reality, the narcissist will keep you hooked by painting a lovely imaginary future for their Fox relationship. This despicable tactic, known as future faking, is a vicious mind game of damaging lies and false promises. The classic example is the wealthy widow who fell prey to Swindlefellow's charm. He spun an elaborate fantasy about how he was going to leave his corporate job to be with her and start a new life renovating beach homes together. Every time she complained about the inconsistent attention and hot/cold treatment, he'd shower her with pretty promises, buying future faked tickets for expensive couples vacations, sending love poems about growing old with her, and even home decor magazines with sticky notes about how amazing their future place would look. This widow stayed enraptured by those empty daydreams for nearly a decade before finally realizing it had all been a lie to keep her hooked while he carried on with multiple other women. Whether through visions of marriage, kids, or career changes, these fantasy futures become the narcissist's shiny object to dangle whenever you begin questioning the viability of the situationship. It's their way of giving you just enough false hope to keep you conquered and compliant.
The hot/cold nightmare cycle.
At its core, the narcissistic situationship is defined by a torturous cycle of hot and cold treatment, mixed signals, and mind games. Like a masterful puppeteer, the narcissist controls your mind and emotions by alternating affection and discard, adoration and devaluation, future promises and abandonments. One day, Fakey Pants the startup bro is making his marketing employee feel like the center of the universe. He's lavishing her with compliments, taking her to fancy lunches, and getting her hopes up about turning their work flirtation into more. But as soon as she seems hooked, he disappears for weeks, ignoring her texts and emails, flirting with other women in the office, and claiming things at the startup are just crazy if she brings it up. This hot/code torture keeps the employee addicted to chasing his elusive validation crumbs, even as it corrodes her self-worth. Through this warped reality of alternating passion and neglect, the unfortunate victims find themselves trapped on a cruel emotional roller coaster. The temporary hot phases offer just enough hope to overshadow the cold times until the cycle repeats and they're smashed down again. It's a coercive, crazy-making dynamic designed to keep the narcissist's supply sources in a weakened, insecure state, desperate for the highs and unable to muster the strength to break free.
Crazy making and Darvo.
Of course, if you dare to call out the narcissist's mind-boggling hot/cold antics or protest being trapped in the purgatory of the situationship, you'll be met with a torrent of toxic nonsense designed to make you feel utterly insane. Enter the narcissist's trusty techniques of crazy making and Darvo. Dinny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Through these malicious mind-sucking, they'll vehemently deny any wrongdoing, flip the script to attack and blame you as the real issue, and rewrite reality to play the victim of your unfair accusations and paranoia. The auto salesman is a prime example of this manipulative behavior. After nearly a year of stringing along his too-kind neighbor with fancy date nights and future fantasies of moving in together, she finally confronts him about his continual dodging of any relationship discussions. He immediately denies the entire situationship, claiming, "I thought we were just friends. You're the one who got overly attached and made this weird." When she protests about the intimacy and romantic overtures, he attacks her character, calling her crazy and delusional for distorting innocent friendship into anything more. Finally, he cries virgin about how betrayed he feels by her unfair accusations and near-stalking paranoia. Through these audacious reversals, he blindsides and destabilizes her while avoiding any real accountability or need to change his reprehensible behavior. Between the warped, hot/cold realities and constant gaslighting counterattacks, the narcissist's greatest weapon in a situationship is his ability to erode your grip on reality and instill crippling self-doubt. You become even more pliable prey, too confused to force change and too anxious to set firm boundaries or leave. The narcissistic situationship is a meticulously crafted hell of manipulation tactics, future-faking deceptions, and dehumanizing mind games. From the very start, these self-obsessed con artists are simply collecting adoring narcissistic supply sources ready to be bled dry of attention and trust whenever they need their insatiable ego fix. The ambiguous, non-committed nature of the situationship provides the perfect arena for their cruelest tricks. Through hot/cold whiplash, gaslighting assaults, and false promises, they can confuse and erode your boundaries while facing no repercussions. It's a cowardly way to leech off intimacy while avoiding any reciprocation or personal growth. If any of these situations feel far too familiar, it's time to break free from the narcissist's toxic web once and for all. Reclaim your self-worth, see their tactics for what they are, and starve these emotional vampires of their undeserved narcissistic supply. While they revel in ambiguity, your path forward must be black and white. Get out and get healing. No more catering to their ravenous ego at the expense of your very soul.